Let me try to be a help to you tonight. That's what I want to do. I want to be a help to you tonight. Let's call it, if you will, flowers and weeds. Flowers and weeds. Flowers and weeds. Every time you do a good deed, it will never ever go unpunished. There'll always be a weed or a person that will always pour rain on your parade. They'll always mock. They'll always laugh. They'll always scold or roll their eyes. But the truth of the matter is, they're jealous of you doing and being who you are and what you do. Anytime you get saved and you start out doing good, there'll always be a weed show up. It's always there to distract and discourage from the beauty of the goodness of God that's been to you and I. When God blesses us, and call it what you will, the truth is, anytime that He blesses, it's a miracle. A miracle is anything that a man cannot do. Only God can do a blessing. Only God can do a miracle. But there's also, beside even the devil disguised as an angel of light, wants to come and discourage you or talk negative about it or say why or how come or I just don't understand. Those are the weeds. The weeds is toxic. It's called in the Bible, I'll show you in just a minute, it's called a tare. A tare is a toxic weed. It makes you deathly sick or ill or obnoxious. If some animals eat it, it'll kill them. It'll not kill a human being. It'll just make you sick enough that you'd want to die. You know anybody like that? Of course you do. Just to be around them or they around you, and I say with all kindness, they absolutely make you sick. They're toxic. Why? Because they got nothing good to say about anything, anywhere, anyhow, or any person. No matter if you said it's a blue sky, they'll say, well, it's not that blue. Always trying to override your confidence in your beauty of what God is doing or done. You do something out of the ordinary and you'll have a weed show up and say, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? How come you're doing that? Simply because they are a tare of weed that the devil is sent to make dead sure you can't enjoy all the blessings that God has got for you. It's a distraction. Here's the kicker, and we'll read. We got some beautiful flowers around here. Thanks to Miss Pat and Brother Richard and Brother Ron, who takes care of our flowers. I've got beautiful flowers at home. Brother Keith has got some beautiful flowers. All of you that does flowers. But you never planted a weed, have you? They just come up. They come up automatically. Even if you don't water them, they come up. If you don't fertilize them. Are you listening? So the weed is planted there along the beautiful flower to bring distraction and even make you think that flower stinks. That flower don't stink. It's that toxic weed that's next to it. You pull up a flower and you'll not have that kind of smell on your hand. You pull up a weed and that thing will stay there until you wash it with soap. You know why? Because it's toxic. If you've ever, and I know the majority of you would never do, but if you'll notice livestock when they're in a field eating, there'd be weeds everywhere. Why won't they eat the weeds? Because they're toxic. It can get into their system and make them so sick they'll die. Flour in weeds. Matthew chapter 13. Verse number 25. Well, let's go back to 24. Another parable put he. A parable is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. It's an earthly illustration with a heavenly meaning. Are you with me now? That's what a parable is. In other words, he's not saying this happened. It's saying the same as it could happen between human beings. So he has to use the field as a flour or the wheat or a tare. Are you with me now? Don't let me get off in the weeds, okay? Verse number 24. Another parable put he forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. That you and I in this field, going around doing good, doing the best we can, trying the best we can, trying new ideals, trying to do something, trying to beautify something, trying to pull something together, trying to change up something together, and then here comes the weeds. Watch now. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in the field. But while men slept, or you went about doing your business, you went about your life, you went about enjoying what God has given you, what God is doing for you, and you go about doing your business. In other words, sleep is rest. Rest is peace. And that's what life ought to be. Are you with me? So instead of sleep, he's not talking about that. He said, you go about doing your life, go about doing your rest, go about doing your peace, and next thing you know, you'll notice, how come there's so negative things coming up? How come somebody's always negative? How come somebody's always? I try my dead level best to never, ever answer my phone on Sunday. Because it's never no good. It's never no good. It's never, ever no good. My girls on the bus today, I was messing with them, and they said they had their phones out, and they said, Pastor, what kind of phone you got? And I said, I don't know. I don't even care. And they said, is it an Apple? What is it? And I said, I think it's an Apple. It's got an apple on the back, but I don't know. I don't even care. I wouldn't care if I never carried it. I'm dead serious. Why? Because there's nothing ever on there but junk. It's always something about someone, something that you and I can't change or fix or alter. It's always bad news, bad news, bad news. Thank God I'm not on Facebook. That's why the majority of you that's on it's got brains for spaghetti. And you know more about people in the Congo than you do your own kids in the house. Where did you hear that? It's on Facebook.
Oh my gosh.
Let's read. But while men slept or go about their business, the enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the household came and said, said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seeds in the field? From whence them as the tares? And he said unto them, An enemy has done this thing. The servant said unto him, Will thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, let while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let them both grow together until the harvest is in the time of harvest. And I will say to the reapers, Gather together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn, and then but to gather the wheat into the barn. Now, what is he saying? He said, You're not going to get rid of the weeds. You're not going to get rid of the tares. You're not going to get rid of the naysayers. You're not going to get rid of the negative. You're not going to get rid of that. It's always going to be around us. But don't nourish it as much as you cherish a flower. Don't try to tear up the whole field of your life that God has given you over somebody that's got to be nothing more than bad news, negative news. You don't have to sit there and listen and take it all in. So I wrote some things. We could call this message several different titles. Keep the weeds pulled, but he said don't do that. Or do not nourish the weeds. There's always been, since the beginning of time, good and bad, God and the devil. It's been ever since the time, good and bad, and God and the devil. Point number 2, always remember, wherever God shows up, so does the devil. In Job chapter 1, the book right before Psalms. Job chapter 1. Always remember, when God shows up around you, the devil will show up. Every time you do a good deed, he'll cast a water on your fire. Anytime that you want to make a suggestion, you want to make a New Year's resolution, you want to make a goal, you want to step up your life, you want to be better than what you are or what you ever thought you'd be. If you want to go out on the limb and try something different, there'll always be something there that'll say, now you need to think about this. You need to let this thing brew a while. You need to give it some time. You see what I'm saying? You know that you never tried that. You know there's been a lot of good people try that, and look at them now. And what you need to do is just let somebody else do it and see if it's going to work. Look at it, class. If God tells you to do it, I guarantee you it's going to work. Are you listening to me? If you will allow God to work in your life will be peaceful, sleepful, and it'll be full of fresh fragrance from flowers that you'll enjoy getting up and being in today. But if you let people talk you out of being what God wants you to be, do what God wants you to do, all you're going to smell like is a toxic weed. There's been more blessings and gifts sent down from heaven to people that's rejected them because they got their eyes on the weeds. How do you know that? These are the ones that's blessed above blessed, but they don't see it because they got too many weeds in their life. There's a weed, here's a weed, there's a weed. Next thing you know, that's all they talk about is weeds. It's so toxic that it makes you sick to hear how great God is or see how God is. And we don't acknowledge it because we want to tell you about the weeds. So listen to this. Job chapter 1. Now you know the story. Job was a godly man. He had a bunch of kids. Had a lot. He was a rich man. And his kids decided to have a little party. I'm just paraphrasing. Stay with me. And he really didn't trust whether the kids would really have a party without drinking, cussing, doping, smoking. And he said, just in case, I might ought to pray for the kids. I might ought to pray for the kids because they might not be as many flowers in their life as there is weeds. How you know a weed? It's the one you tell your kids, oh, you're not running with that. You're not about to go anywhere with that. You're not hanging out with that. No, you're not being around that. You know why? Because you know it's a weed. You know it stinks. You know it's toxic. And you know it's going to kill your children or grandkids' little flowered life because of the stinking weed. Are you listening to me? Let's read. Verse number 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Watch it. And Satan came also among them. Sunday, Same day, you come to serve the Lord, and the devil says, how about if I hang out with you? You come to run a bus, teach class, sing in the choir. The devil shows up too. No matter what, from the time I walk out of there to here, to whoever sings in the choir or sings so special, the devil says, you don't mind if I sit over in the other chair, do you? You see what I'm saying? We never even think he would come in here. Now we know that he can't get in here because the Lord told Peter, upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell cannot prevail against it. He has to be carried in or snuck in. You see what I'm saying? So therefore he comes in and nobody ever knows, but how come they're acting the way they're doing? How come they're looking and how come, what's going on? You can sense that toxic spirit. You know what I'm saying, Corbin? You can sense that toxic spirit that they're not in what you're in. They're not involved what you're involved in. They're not enjoying what you're enjoying in. Next thing you know, you have to ask, what's up? What's wrong? Why ain't you happy? Why? You're in a happy place. We got a happy book with a happy God. We just heard some happy music and you're hearing some truth which is ought to make you happy. You shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Why aren't you happy? Why are you busy on the phone? You know, I don't mind you sitting there on the phone by yourself while you're watching the game or listening to the game. I don't mind that. The thing I mind is you think I'm that stupid. You think I'm that ignorant. It ain't hurting me, honey. It's hurting you. That you can't spend 20 minutes in the house of God without being on some worldly entertainment on that phone. You see what I'm saying? It's toxic. It gets in and around us, and next thing you know, Satan's all going along with us. Let me read it. Now there was a day, verse 6, there was a day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down in it. Isn't that amazing? Where you going field to field, life to life, home to home, marriage to marriage, family to family, church to church. I'm just seeing if I might, while everybody's having a joyful time, asleep, peace, that I just throw out some tares.
Yeah.
I just sow some. And next thing you know, he leaves. You already planted the seed, and next thing you know, it comes up. And you're in awe by saying, what started this argument? What started this kind of words? What started this kind of attitude? What happened? Then he leaves, he said in Matthew 13. And while we slept, the enemy came and sowed and left. Then all of a sudden, it don't just come up today. It'll come up tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day. And next thing you know, you're at one another's throat. You're saying stuff to one another that you... Why are we talking like this? Why are you belittling me? Why are you trashing me? Why are you cussing me? Why are you belittling me? We wasn't doing this here just a while ago. What happened? What happened? Satan said, I planted some tares while y'all's having the time of your life and didn't pay no attention to it. 1 Peter 5:8. Let's look at it. Way back over to the back for other people. Are you there? Verse number 8. Be sober, be vigilant. Why? Always looking, always looking, always looking. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion walking about, seeking whom he may devour. So he's already said in Job, everywhere the Lord goes, I go. Now, Paul's teaching Peter, you need to be vigilant. You need to be sober up. You need to get your heads on straight. You need to get focused. You need to get settled down. Why? Because the devil, the enemy, the terror, is a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. Have you ever seen someone get devoured by a toxic person?
Yeah.
It makes you sick at your stomach. Who would that be? Oh, when they say, that's just the way I am. Well, if you don't like it, you can lump it. You see, that's where the weeds is choking out the flowers. I'm thinking about 2 years ago, maybe Brother Ron Lewis always has a big, big garden. And he brings everybody, food.
Yes.
But then I think it might have been 2 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong. And I said, how's the garden going? Ah, the weeds is taking over. Listen, when the weeds take over your flowers, it gets you so discouraged you don't want to mess with it. And now then the weeds is as big as the plants, and they got bigger roots because beans and corn and that don't have deep roots. So when you pull up the big weeds, you pull up the good. You see what I'm saying? Am I getting too far off? No good deed never goes unpunished. When God gives us a blessing, the devil plants his weed of doubt, causing us to see, think, and hear something bad. So we cannot enjoy the full blessings of God. I do it all the time, preaching. I'm preaching truth. I'm preaching something that'll change your life. I'm preaching something that I'm so ecstatic to help you to see. Not an entertainer, not a performer preacher, just solid home cooking.
Amen.
Look at me. And while I'm doing it, thinking this is just for us, the devil says, look over here. Look over here. And next thing you know, I'm looking and they're doing. See, the devil wants me to see that, to make me think that your weed is prettier than what I'm teaching.
Yeah.
It's distracting to get me off the course to see what somebody is really dying in their field, saying, don't stop, give me some more, give me some more. And the devil said, yeah, but look over here. You see what I'm saying? You think that's not toxic? You see what I'm saying? This is why when the Lord heals someone or anyone, he said, go and tell no one. Because as soon as you tell someone, they're going to mock you. In Matthew chapter 9, 20 through 24, let's just look. We got time. The Cowboys winning? Now that would be a miracle. Matthew chapter 9, pick it up in verse 120. Behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, if I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good cheer, for thy faith had made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that very hour. And when Jesus came into the ruler's house and saw the minstrels and the people making a noise, he said unto them, Give no place for the maid, she is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. And he said, Go and tell no one. Why? Look at me. I want you to enjoy as much as you can before somebody destroys your happiness. When God does a blessing or a miracle just for you, it's just for you to enjoy and not for everybody else. Sometimes it takes a while before somebody else can realize what you really enjoy. So he says, I don't want you to go tell nobody else. I want you to enjoy it till the word gets out. And then when the word gets out, they're going to mock, they're going to laugh, they're going to say, you really believe in all that kind of stuff? You must be the luckiest person in the world. Luck ain't got nothing to do with it, friend. It has everything to do with faith, hope, and love, if you will. The tares, if you will. The tares is the weeds that come up in our lives. We know the devil sends them, so we will be discouraged from enjoying the flowers or the blessings of our life from God. The weeds are the people with a toxic attitude. A toxic attitude. Let's go back to Psalms 1, I'm close. Psalms 1. They got a toxic attitude. It's very annoying. It's very sickening. And I don't want to catch it. Psalms 1:1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth fruit in his season, and his leaf shall never wither, and whatsoever he doeth, he shall prosper. You prospering tonight? Are you above board? Is everything up to snuff, so to speak? The bills paid? You got gas in the tank and food in the fridge? Do you dread looking in the mailbox or answering the phone? Do you not have enough to make ends meet? Then I'd say you're not prospering. Then why am I not prospering? It's real simple. You got too many weeds in your life. When you get more weeds than you can see blessings, then all of a sudden everything stinks. The choir stinks, special music stinks, the bus is always stunk. Don't ever get on the bus. You ever get on it, you'll never get off. Why would you want off? Why would you want off? Why would you want off? Don't ever take a class because you're stuck there forever. That's where I want to stay forever. Trying to be a help to somebody other than take care of me. I'm serious. I'm trying to help you. You're not prospering? You probably are. You just can't see it. I told two guys yesterday, they come by the church. I want you to listen to this very carefully. Sometimes prayer don't get to where you think it ought to be. I said this last year, and I just said it off the top of my head. It was of God, but I never took any thought into it until I talked about it yesterday. I'm going to tithe my way out of trouble. I'm going to tithe my way out of problems. What about prayer? I'm going to tithe my way out of gossip, drama, issues. How are you going to do that? Because when you tithe, you're giving something that you love. And it means serious business. So when you tithe, you pray, and God said, you're putting more than words into this prayer.
Yes, sir. It's good.
Isn't that good?
Yes, sir.
A prayer with no heart or no sacrifice of something you love is nothing more than a ritual routine of words. It means absolutely nothing. But when you reach down and give the thing that you love more than life, which is your money, that you don't think you can make it without it, or you hoard it up, next thing you know, you realize you worship that more than you worship Him. But you'd never admit it because you got weeds it covers up. So when you would tithe your way out of a problem, it means I'm going to give up and above to show you what I got that I love. I'll give it to you and pray in that spirit. But just to pray, God said, you got no skin in the game. You got no skin in the game. You've not put nothing in it. You're just asking and asking and asking and asking, but you don't put no skin in the game. But when you reach down, because the Bible says, where a man's heart is, that's where his treasures is. So you give out of your treasures. You open up your heart, so when you pray, and God said, now then, you got some skin in the game. You got that, preacher? I'm just telling you. Once you give up something that you love so dearly to Him and ask favor, then He's not because of the money, it's because of the condition of the heart that you're willing to give whatever it takes. God knows something about that. He loved His Son. And He gave it. I'll close. The weeds are the people with a toxic attitude. They've always a toxic opinion, toxic words, and toxic looks. 1 Corinthians 15. I want to show you this knowledge. We still got 15 minutes. First Corinthians 15, verse number 33. Be not deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. You get around toxic weeds, it's always got a negative thought, a negative look, a negative opinion. Next thing you know, it ruins your manners. What's your manners? I no longer say please or thank you. That's what it's all about, folks. When we got manners, it's please and thank you, and may I, excuse me, I'm sorry. But when you get around weeds, toxic people, they corrupt your good manners. And you don't have them no more. You turn yes ma'am into yeah. I'm just trying to help you folks. Whatever you do not give the weeds any of your attention. Please look at your pastor. Notice your blessings, notice your flowers, notice the peaceful life that you have, and enjoy every minute that you can. Because as I speak, seeds are being sowed of weeds. They're being sowed. Something that was said, something that was preached, something that was taught on tonight will be the topic of somebody after we get out of church on the phone. That's just the way it is. One weed to another. Weeds have to have seeds. So we go about planting seeds. And next thing you know, you've got a life full of weeds because you've not been around flowers. I want to be a blessing to everyone, everywhere I go and I see. I want to leave with a good smell. And I'm not trying to be funny. But in that office is 4 or 5 bottles of cologne. In my church, in my console is cologne. I probably got 20 bottles of cologne on my counter in my bathroom. I want to smell good. I want to smell clean. I want somebody to notice something smells good. And it's the same way with our flowery life. When I leave your presence, I want you to say, that was so pleasant. That was so sweet. That was so kind. Instead of, they make me sick. They really make me sick. I'm just trying to help you. When he said, we sowed wheat, the tares come up with it. Yeah. While you were sleeping or enjoying your peaceful life, the enemy came and threw it full. And we thought we was having a beautiful day until all of a sudden something starts to stink. We find out it's association that we come in contact with. It's so simple. It's so simple. I just want to be a blessing to you, try to be a help to you. And the only way I can do that is keep your eyes on your flowers. Take care of your flower bed. That's your life. Whatsoever a man soweth, talk to me, Corbin. That's what he's going to reap. So if you plant a beautiful life, it's going to come up. But not everybody's excited about your beautiful life. You see what I'm saying? I had a barber friend in Canyon. I just went there 3 or 4 times because it was convenient or whatever. And he had a collection of cars, classic cars, Brother Hardy. And I knew somebody had told me he did. And in the conversation, I said, I heard you had a Corvette. I had a Corvette at that time, but it wasn't nothing like his Corvette, but it was a Corvette. And he said, I do. And I said, what year is it and all of that? And he told me, and he said, I spent a lot of money getting it where it's at. It's a Baron Jackson special. And I said, do you ever show it? And he said, I did one time. They had a car show at Trade Winds Airport, and everybody invited me to come. Come, we want you to come. Everybody needs to see that car. And he said, I don't want my car messed with. And they said, all you got to do is grab your lawn chair and sit out there, buy it, and people come by and they see it and ooh and ah. And he said, I told this gentleman, would you mind watching my car? I'm going to run over to this food stand. I'm going to get me something to drink. And he said, well, sure. Well, the guy didn't come over, and when he come back, somebody took a pocket knife and went all the way around that Corvette's paint job. Now, it's going to cost $30,000, $50,000 to repaint that Corvette. What are you saying? Not everybody's excited about you having a nice car. Not everybody's excited that you're turning over a new leaf and getting in church and trying your dead level best. And you'll hear it through the grapevine, it won't last. They've been in church before. They've given up drinking before. They've given up cussing before. They'll be back. Just give them time. What kind of a coach is that?
Right.
You see, it's like a coach calling them in and saying, look, boys, we ain't got a chance. We're going to get slaughtered. We're going to get run ruled. But you know, they're bigger, they're meaner. But I'm telling you, keep this in mind. We're having fun. Yeah, but coach, at halftime, it looks like they're having 30 points more fun than we are. You see what I'm saying? I cannot have fun as long as I run with people that don't want to have fun. and people that don't want to get involved, and people that don't want to win. I don't have time for it. I'm too old, and I'm running out of days. I want to have fun. I want to have fun. And I pray you do too. Let's stand, please.